Hello everyone, welcome back again. This is, you guys know that today we are celebrating women in design, and this is going to be our last session for the day. If you have not attended the previous one, my name is Priyanka and I am a UX researcher and trainer at UX Expert. And we have Mr. Tushar Deshmukh with us, who is the founder of UX Expert and the director of UX UI Training Lab. And he is the one who has provided us this amazing platform. And I would like to introduce our last speaker of the day, co-founder and the UX strategist at OpenKnot, Suhani Mittal. She has an electronic and communication engineering degree, and after which she decided to go for post graduation in industrial design from MIT Institute of Design. She has been working in the field of UX for about 6 years now, and she has worked with companies like Vyuj Designs, Sybase, and Left Right Mind. And after gaining enough experience, she decided to give it back to the community and started conducting a human machine interface course at MIT Institute of Design. Today, she is going to talk to us about the role of emotions in the design decision making. Welcome, Suhani.
Hi, thank you, Priyanka. Thank you for having me there.
Yeah. So now I would request Mr. Tushar Deshmukh to begin with the initiate the today's session.
Sure, definitely.
Thank you.
Thanks, Priyanka, and I welcome Suhani for today's. So we are celebrating the Women's Unit Design, and it's a very day-long day today we have. So yes, and I'm happy that people are coming and they are discussing various topics. So we start from different subjects, and we cover a lot of different aspects in a design, how like usability and decision making and everything, brand designing. So coming that and uh, as today's now you are talking about the emotional side of that particular subject. So you can start with just give us your journey where from where you started and how, because as a woman, as an entrepreneur, there is always your story will be inspirational for the young people which are coming in field, and they definitely like to inspire from your story. And very long you are associated with the MIT, even SID also, right? So just you can start with your journey, and then definitely you can turn to our core topic. I believe you have presentations for us, but you can start from there. So welcome again, and you can.
Sure. First of all, thank you, Tushar, for having me. I think this is a wonderful platform you have created for the learners and for the speakers to come up and share the knowledge. And basically, it is helping in a way UX community to bind. So for me, yes, I started my journey and somewhere, so asking about entrepreneurship, somewhere down the line before starting entrepreneurship, I had in mind that, I would like to start something of my own. But I did not want to jump directly to becoming an entrepreneur and starting up my own firm. So what we did was I took baby steps. First, after learning and after going to design school, I thought it will be interesting to first understand how the actual design community works, how market works, how things work in the actual scenario. So what I did was I tried working with different types of organizations. There was one design studio which was completely into UX. Then I moved to a company where, so I wanted to see how designers work internally, how do they work. Then I moved to a company which was around, I had 5,000 employees, where I learned how the sort of operational things, how it works closely. I wanted to ensure that, I should know and I should be aware at least the basics. Then I finally worked with a startup where designers and developers worked hand in hand. So it gives you a very raw feel of, how things go about. And yeah, after doing that, once I gained little confidence in myself, in my design capabilities, and I thought that, we are good to start, we can start. After that also I took baby steps. I first started with freelance. So I think this point may be very helpful to the budding entrepreneurs, that just take baby steps, start small. There's no hurry to directly jump to the this thing that I want to open up ventures. So what I did was I started with freelancing with my last job. Then I completed when I thought that I can take a step little further. I did full time freelance, and then slowly, once I gained little more confidence, that is when we started OpenKnot. So today, OpenKnot is there. We are running it successfully. There are obviously ups and downs, but every day is a learning experience, which I cherish more than anything. And along with this, I try giving back to the community. So whenever possible, I try giving or helping students from MIT, Symbiosis Institute of Design, and DY Patil, taking courses for them, or being there as an external jury member, so that just to see how we can give back to the community. So yeah, this is about me.
It's a great journey, and I think we all know each other very. I think 2 3 years back, we made such a platform. I think similar platform. We are, I think, we are share panel there, and we have discussed a lot of things on that. So great. So we can now
Correct.
start today's topic, and it's the emotion and decision making. So I just like you just give access to screen share. Yes, you can start.
So, today I want to speak about emotions, how emotions affect what is the role of emotion in decision making. Before we start with that, what are emotions? Emotions are felt by everyone, but how they are expressed and experienced is very different depending on an individual, which makes it more complicated to understand. So let's say you're standing in your room and chilling and doing your own stuff. And suddenly, surprise! A lot of people, your friends and everyone jumps out and gives you a surprise because it's your birthday. So now individually you would be very thrilled, maybe you would be excited and you would be surprised. So your muscles may tense a little, they'll relax eventually. Your heartbeat may increase for a second, your skin temperature may increase, but then eventually it would relax. And looking at your reaction, there will be emotions from the other people who are around you, who gave you the surprise. They'll feel joy, they'll feel delighted. Now, for someone who has already been to a surprise party, for him, maybe the expectations, he has some set of expectations that, he'll have fun, how the surprise party would be. But then for someone who dislikes the surprise party, I don't know for what, but then for some reason, if someone who doesn't really like surprise parties, they will be dread of from the prospect of surprise party. Now, there are various ways people express their emotions. An individual over here may smile, he may laugh, they may clap their hands in delight, or they may hug each other for, to friends and family. But then these expressions vary from individual to individual. Now, what are emotions? There are so many emotions. There are infinite emotions: happiness, sadness, fear, disgust, anger, surprise. But you know what? These emotions are called universal emotion. Why they are called universal emotions? Not because everyone feels the same way, but because this is the way the facial expressions are consistent throughout the cultures. So they are easily recognizable no matter from what cultural background you are. For example, when you emote happiness, the cheeks are raised, your inner corner of the mouth is raised. Sometimes your teeth is exposed, and sometimes you have wrinkles on the outward area of the eyes. When we talk about sadness, Lips, usually they are downward, and we uplift the inner corner of the eyebrows, I mean. When we feel fear, our eyebrows are being raised and drawn together, and there is wrinkle on the forehead. And eyes are open, intense, mouth is open, and lips are drawn back tightly. This is how we feel fear. This is how we express fear. When it comes to anger, we penetrate stare. Eyelids are tense and lips are pressed together. When you feel disgusted, there is wrinkle on the nose, raised cheeks, and brows are lowered. And when you feel surprised, automatically our eyebrows get raised. Our mouth is wide open, eyes are wide open. So, why emotions are universally recognizable? For example, if I look at the first smiley, anyone, even a 5-year-old kid, would be able to say that this emotes happiness. Why does it happen? So Charles Darwin hypothesized in his theory of evolution that the ability to express and understand emotions is innate ability. It comes naturally. So think of a newborn baby. If they are surprised or frightened, they often react like how we grown-ups would react. But newborn babies are brand new to the world. They've never been taught how to express, how to do these things. Their bodies just react that way. Similarly, if we take an example of a blind man who has never ever seen in his life, who was blind his entire life, and I've never seen how people have the facial expressions. Still, he will have the similar facial expressions. When he smiles or frown, he'll emote the similar way. So this is something which comes from, so scientists have proved that the affective system, which includes emotions, they control the muscles of the body. Okay, so what do we know? What else do we know about emotions? That emotions are negative and positive. Emotions can vary in intensity. Maybe there's little bit of sadness or deep amount of depression. There can be extreme ecstatic or just little bit pleased. Emotions can be infinite. They can be temporary. They have the emotions have the relatively clear beginning and relatively short duration compared to moods. Moods tend to last longer. Coming to emotional design elements, because I'm assuming that this presentation, the audience is mostly the designers. There are most of the designers or people related to design field or innovation. So for us to be an exceptional designer, it is really not enough just to understand how your user is reacting, how your user is behaving, but you must also understand why they are behaving and reacting in a certain way. Why some of the users go and share their experiences with others, share their stories with others, while others do not. Why some are delighted when a dashboard is revamped, while others are not. Why do some people, the user, why does the user engagement, if let's say if we change the color palette, for example, for a portal, why does the user engagement changes, why it increases or drops, or there is some motion in it? Basically, emotional design can transform functional products into memorable and enduring experiences. We as designers have the power to shape the product in a way to make it delightful experience for the users. Now here are few facets which helps us doing that, which will help us understand that. The first is persuasive emotion. Now what if I told you there is no such thing as a purely rational decision? Because you cannot make any decision in the absence of emotions. Scientists' work describe that emotion and decision, they are tightly coupled. They are intrinsically intertwined. You cannot separate them. For instance, if you were able to make a decision that rely only on reasoning and emotions is absent, you would have to analyze a never-ending list of variables. So because we humans are evolved, we have that opportunity that the emotions are used as a shortcut to decision making. That thing which we call as gut, that is actually emotion nudging you in the right direction. This makes it a lot more, this makes life more efficient for us. So please remember that it is impossible to make any decision without emotional input. Emotions play a very critical role in our daily lives, helping us assess situations, good or bad, safe or dangerous. They catalyze the decision making. Now let's come to aesthetic usability effect. Research shows that when people are happy, they are relaxed, the thought process expands, becomes more creative and imaginative. And when you are tensed, when people are anxious, they tend to narrow their thought process. So if you would have ever think, let's say whenever we do a design thinking workshop or a brainstorming workshop, there is one rule which we definitely stick by, which is there is no room for criticizing at this point of moment, at this stage of design. When we are brainstorming, no one can criticize anyone's ideas. What we do is we have a ice breaking sessions. Why? Because we want users or the participants to relax. We want them in good mood so that they are more imaginative, they are more creative. So coming back to this point, which says aesthetically pleasing experiences empower usability. Now let's see. Let's talk about aesthetically pleasing or attractive things. Now, if something is attractive, that is definitely going to make users feel good. Like there is a high chance. If users are feeling good about it, they'll be more creative. If they are creative, they are more likely to find a solution to the problems they encounter. So if in case user gets stuck, he himself will look around for the alternative solutions, which makes it very likely to lead to a satisfying end. Which is why aesthetically pleasing experiences or the attractive things are perceived to be easy to use. Basically, attractive things increases the user's willingness to learn and to adapt. The next emotional design element is ownership effect. Now, ownership effect it refers to an individual's tendency to evaluate an object more favorably merely because it's his or her. It's the owner who owns it. Ownership, by the way, is ownership is psychologically meaningful variable that can influence the way one looks at or one evaluates the objects in the external world. If you make users feel that they own this product, for example, even when we work, we tell our employees, or we have the employees, we want them to be motivated, so we tell them that take ownership. So why do we do that? Because it helps in decision making, it evaluates, it makes more preferable for the people how they look towards the different objects in the world. User place user place more value in experiences where they feel a sense of ownership and personalization. They feel product is an extension of themselves. So since few years, I think we all have seen that almost all the applications, the customer applications or the web apps, they show there is some customization or personalization involved. Like most of the people would want to have that. Why? Because if it is there, people will people will place more value in their experience. Now, the last thing about designing emotional element is emotion memory link. One thing that helps memory, one thing that helps make our memory robust is if it has a strong emotional content. So you would probably still remember your first kiss, or you would remember where you were when you found out that someone from your close family has passed away. Why? Because it has some emotional content to it. Emotionally charged events persist in our memories beyond the product's base functional value. We remember things that makes us feel good in a certain way. Speaking about evolution and human brain, now there's a myth. Myth says emotions are evolutionary leftover from our animal origins. Before we speak about myth, let's first understand what is evolutionary leftover. So our body is a walking proof of evolution, but some parts have grown unnecessarily over time. For example, the tailbone. Tails were provided for balance and mobility for our four-legged ancestors. But as we learned to walk upright, the tail shrank. But still, we still show the evidence of tail. So this is evolutionary leftover. Now, a lot of people believe that emotions are also result of the evolutionary leftover. But the reality is the evolutionarily more advanced animals are more emotional than the primitive ones. And humans are most emotional of all. As the evolution continued, the brain circuits for analyzing and responding improved. It became more sophisticated. So human brain is one of the most complex, developed and evolved structure, as we all know. They have the ability to reflect upon their experiences and communicate them. This is something which separates human brains from others. I'll just repeat this thing because it is little important. It says that the human brain has the ability to reflect upon their experiences and they can communicate it to others as well. So Darwin hypothesized that the emotions helped individuals act in ways that gave them a better chance at survival. So emotions actually have an adaptive value as well. So for instance, if something bad or dangerous is observed by animal, what do? First of all, their muscles tense in preparation for attacking, freezing, running. But then if something good or desirable is noticed, animals can then relax. They can take advantage of the situation. Just to uh, uh, just to expand this thought, let's put let's just, for an instance, if there is an obstacle between animal and their food, their desirable food, of course. So if we put an obstacle between animal and their food, how would they react? Chicken chicken is likely to get stuck here forever, staring, but might be possible that they are unable to get the food. Dogs dogs are a little smarter. What they'll do is they'll run around it grab the food and go away. But then, now when we speak about humans are even more developed set of brain structure. So not only do they walk around the obstacle and get the food, but they can think back about the experience. They can reflect upon it, and they can decide to move the obstacle or the food or both, so that they don't have to face this situation again. And also what humans would do is they can communicate. They let other humans know about this, so that whenever the next time something like this arises, they are very well prepared of it. Interesting, right? So at this point, I would like to introduce the Don Norman's 3 levels of emotional system. Animals such as lizards, they operate primarily at the visceral level. This is the level of fixed routines where brain can analyze the world and respond. At this particular level, the judgments are fast, they are rapid, of what is good, what is bad, what is safe, what is dangerous. They send an appropriate signal to the muscles and the rest of the brain. It alerts rest of the brain. This level is basically a subconscious level. Dogs and other mammals have a higher level of analysis. So if we look at the previous example, dog, what would they do? They would not just analyze the situation and respond to it, they can alter their behavior accordingly. So this is a very powerful and complex part of brain. It is also, this also behavioral level also works at the subconscious level, and behavioral level is very important for the skilled people, for very well learned people, for whom there are routine operations. For example, if I skate, so skating will become my usual, it becomes my habit, which is why it falls into behavioral level, because it's a skill set. At the highest evolutionary level is the human brain. Human brain can think about its own operations. So in human brain, there's something called reflective level as well. Here, this is the home of reflections, of conscious thoughts, of learning new concepts and generalization about the world. So from this diagram, you could see that reflective level doesn't have direct connect to the sensory inputs, nor it can directly send signal to the motor. But what it does is it keeps a watch. It keeps a watch over, reflects upon, and tries to bias the behavioral level. This is the conscious state. Let's take few examples. If, for example, you can drive your car at you can drive your car at behavioral level, and you can at the same time think consciously while driving the car. So thinking is happening at the reflective level. A skilled piano player can hold the conversation while playing the music. And if they lose the track, if they lose their place in the music and have to listen themselves again play, that's because of the reflective level. The reflective level was lost, not the behavioral level. To look at few examples, now here the first activity is the roller coaster ride. In the second, someone is chopping and dicing food with sharp balanced knife. And in the third image, the activity is contemplating a serious work of literature. The first and foremost, here it is the most primitive visceral reaction to falling, to heights, to excessive speeds. So here visceral visceral reaction is something which is there in place. If we look at the second example, here the user, there's this pleasure of using good tool effectively. There will be a sense of accomplishment when done. This is basically derived from behavioral level. This is the pleasure any expert would feel when doing something well. And contemplation of literature is the enjoyment derives from the reflexive level, and it requires study and interpretation. But then the most interesting part is that all the levels play together in most of the cases. In most of the cases, there is not just one level which is acting, but then there will be all the levels which would be acting. Might be a different intensity, but then yes. So they all play a very crucial role. So for example, if let's say we take roller coaster as an example, we all know that roller coaster ride is very frightening. Still people go and do it. Why? Why is it so popular even though people know that there's so much fear involved, and there's height, and there's something which at the first go we might be afraid of? There could be two reasons behind it. One is that some people love fear itself. They get the adrenaline rush, they would want to enjoy it, which is why they would go ahead and do it. Second reason could be the feeling that follows after the ride. The pride of conquering the fear and being able to brag it to others. I went to Disney World in Singapore and I did this ride. So, it is about bragging. It is about showing that they have dared to do an action that others rejected. This particular thing about self-image, about bragging, it comes from reflexive level. So here, visceral level competes with the reflective pleasure. Now, it is critical that designers understand that these emotional reactions are not accidental. They can be cultivated. They can be crafted with people first design approach that truly delivers enduring and impressionable value. We can actually cultivate it. To create a delightful experience, as designers, we must cultivate appropriate, required positive emotions for each level, which is visceral, behavioral, and reflective. Emotional design can transform functional products into memorable experiences. Now, speaking about visceral, a visceral reaction is triggered by an initial sensory experience. It is that first experience that sets the mood and the initial framing for which you will explore everything else. So for example, the first reaction when you open a new phone, if let's say you get a new phone, you buy a new phone or someone gives it to you, you open it. So that is the first reaction. The look, the feel, the touch of the product is something where visceral reaction plays an important role. There are a lot of benefits if we are successful in creating a positive visceral reaction. What they do is, because visceral is mostly about it is about the first impression, they set a positive context for every subsequent interaction. Users, if they have this positive visceral reaction, they are more likely to forgive faults down the line if initial experience was overwhelmingly positive. So that's the reason, people and companies, they invest a lot in customer service customer service, because now if they have a product, if they have a service, the failures or errors, they are going to happen at some level, either major or minor, either for few customers or for a lot of customers. But then what they do is they try keeping their experience well. They try ensure that the customer, the hospitality provided is so amazing that till the end users would not pay so much attention to the negative impact, the negative experiences they have had in the process while using or before using the product. Visceral reaction also, it encourages positive socialization of the product. Some unique ways that a product evoke visceral reaction are through playful and delightful onboarding and success states. So we have, obviously seen now since a lot of years, it has become a trend that we need to have onboarding correct. We need to show tutorial. We need to see, we need to have the micro interactions, because that is the visceral level. You would want that user looks at it and it brings a smile on their face. It should be a very nice, a positive feeling for the user. So people, the designers take help of colors, shapes, all the visual elements. Mainly, it is visceral level has more to do with branding and the visual design aspect of it. Because if I see two different products, probably if I see two different watches, they do the same thing. They both the watches are going to show me the time, but then on what basis do I select the watches? Even before understanding how to operate it, the the one thing is that the how it looks and feel, how it appeals to me in the first go, that also becomes a major decision making point for the users. Visceral design includes the user's pre-conscious state, the product's initial attractiveness, and the user's overall feelings. These states become ways to express your product's brand and cultivate a relationship with the users. So this was about visceral. Now let's go to behavioral level. A behavioral reaction is how we feel as we are immersed in the product, in the experience of the product. It is how we react to the product interactions and derive value from the products we use. Also, more commonly, so usability. So usability, it connects with the behavioral reaction more. From an emotional perspective, when our interaction when our interaction behaviors are fluid, expected, and familiar, then we derive a joy and satisfaction from the product's usability. For behavioral level, if we are designing for this particular level, behavioral level, the design includes usability, product's function, its performance, the effectiveness of use. If let's say I am buying a watch, what is the function of watch? To show me the time. Is it fulfilling that function? Yes or no? How is the performance? Whether it is efficient, how much time does it take for me to view the time? How many clicks do I need to go through? How efficient basically it is to complete that particular function? How less my efforts are being utilized in order to operate or to fulfill my task. And then is effectiveness of use. Effectiveness of use is whether do I understand quickly what needs to be done, or there is a big learning curve. So this is where behavioral design comes into play. The benefits of a positive behavioral reaction would be, it would allow users to feel a sense of empowerment. Yes, I've done this task. This has been completed successfully. They cultivate trust and reliability. Because it was a smooth journey, because it was a smooth experience, I gained the trust. It it would encourage me to repeat the reaction, as I will be more inclined to want to have that experience of delight again. Excuse me. So yes, so this is about behavioral level. If I move to reflective level, this is very complex. It is little hard to achieve, and it requires a lot of understanding about user, their emotions, how do they feel, what would make their memory. Basically, a reflective reaction is how we feel once we are there, like, after we have immersed in the experience. It's how we remember the experience itself and how it has made us feel. It determines whether we want to try that experience again or shun it altogether. Benefits. So if, let's say, if I am wearing a very old watch, so remember, if you remember that particular scene from Three Idiots, there's a movie called Three Idiots, Indian Bollywood movie, and in that there's this actress called Kareena Kapoor. So what happens is, on her sister's wedding day, she's wearing a very old watch which is gifted by her mom, which is very old. Not, if you look at it as per the visceral from the visceral level, it might not look appealing, but because of reflective level, she has some emotions attached to it. There are some past emotions attached to it, which makes it likable that by that particular person. So benefits of a good or positive reflective emotion is that they encourage users to share their experiences with others. Once you touch the reflective level of the users, they themselves will become brand ambassadors of your product. Hey, you know what, I use MacBook Pro, it is so amazing, it is so sleek. Once you start using MacBook, you won't use Windows again. So here what I am doing is, in a way, I am endorsing someone else's product without getting a commission or without getting any profit out of it. Reflective reactions, they evoke a sense of pride and identity from using a product that extends beyond the product itself. Now if we see, almost everyone, it's very common, iPhone is very common. But then earlier in days, people, let's say, whenever there used to be a meeting, I remember people with iPhone, they would not forget keeping iPhone on their desk so that everyone around could see. Why? Not because it's a good design, because of the sense of pride, of the sense of identity, that yes, I am owning this product. So this is something, which people, it's very interesting to actually dissect daily life experiences into understanding that why this particular emotion has been evoked, from what level, basically. So overall, I mean, the reflective emotional design captures the meaning of the product, the impacts of the thought, the shareability of the experience, and the cultural impact. Just to sum it up, now when we speak about visceral level, It speaks about the attractiveness, the first initial impression, the look, the feel, and the touch of it. It works on a pre-conscious state. Now, when we speak about behavioral level, it has more to do with usability. User should be able to easily use it, else, it doesn't make sense to behavioral level. So it 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 speaks about product's efficiency, how the product functioning is, how effective it is to use, how easy it is to use. And then there comes a reflective level, which speaks about the meaning of the product, impact of the thought, sharing the experience, the cultural meaning behind it. Basically, it is about the memories, the takeaways, the stories which you could share later on with people. So, for me, to sum it up, this particular session, I would say it is critical that the designers understand how emotional design envelops the entire experience, from first discovering the product to using it and to finally thinking about the product after it has been used. It is not enough to cultivate an experience just from the first look and feel. This needs to be continued. It needs to be shareable, perpetual, and endured. Thank you.
Thank you, Suhani. It was very insightful. Can we take some questions if the audience has any?
Okay, till the time audience is thinking, I'll just share a couple of few more insights with you till the time they are thinking. So maybe in real world, people would think how in real world these reactions, or when let's say I'm a designer, how does it happen for me? So let's take an example of Uber. Some people call it Uber, some people call it Uber, but then I'm talking about the service, service which is provided by this company to reach from point A to point B. Over here, now these all reactions, the all emotions could act at different levels. I mean, there are so many touch points with the users, and there are so many points how users could create this particular, they could touch different levels of emotions, visceral, reflective, and behavioral. If the app is amazing, if it is good to look at, then it touches the visceral level. If I'm able to correctly enter the if I'm able to correctly enter the source, the destination, without there being any findability issue, that where do I look for a particular this thing, a particular destination, then there is auto suggest. So these things help in the usability of the application. If when I go downstairs, when I leave my house and go downstairs and waiting for the cab, if I am able to look at the cab, if I am able to find that cab at that moment only, then it is really helpful. I mean, note here that it is not just about the online experience you are creating, but also about the offline experience. And so this is the behavioral level where we are touching. And then if let's say we have to look at the relative level would be uh, when I book a Uber and a Mercedes taxi comes to pick me up. This will be a memorable incident for me. People, I will brag in front of my friends, or there will be a story around it which will be there in the town, which I would share. So when you design for a particular product, there could be, you need to see how well you can touch base on these different levels for the user, the emotional levels.
Definitely, and I think what today you have covered is definitely, I will say, just behavioral science and user psychology is also right. Behavioral, it is just tip of iceberg, I think, and what today in future we are going to the it's a machine learning programs. Okay. In there also, this the selection, making decisions is absolutely dependent on what just you just covered today, 3 points on that decision making. It is very, as a designer, I think that is very uh, yes, many times we try to stick to a traditional design, but yes, in future, as we are going towards a more human centric, and when you talk about human centric, and we are not talking about brain, then this is something we are missing out major part in that. I think that is very well you articulated and very nice presentation the way you demonstrate. That is very. I hope designers definitely will understand what exactly underlying meaning, in between line meanings, what they can take away from these sessions. I think I
Yeah.
have questions here.
Yeah, I think we have a question from Vipin. He wants to know how important it is to know the domain knowledge as compared to emotions when designing such a complex enterprise product.
Sure. Okay, so first of all, thank you for this question, and I hope you're doing well. So, domain knowledge is extremely important. I mean, it doesn't mean that, if we have this, the knowledge about human psychology or how the brain works and behaves, it doesn't mean that the other elements which will be responsible for your design, for the success of your product, are less important. Domain knowledge is definitely very important in order to provide the expected results or the expected functionality to the users. So yes, it is very very important. Both are very different and very important. So till the time questions are coming, I would just like to mention, if people, if you would want to read more about it, if you think that this particular knowledge is helpful, I think you can check out this book by Don Norman. It is called Emotional Design.
I think Nitin have a question.
Yeah. I think it's Geeta. Geeta wants to know, is emotional design helpful for UXers to change mental model of users to conceptual model?
Uh, so now it depends, first of all, whether you would want to do that or not. That is one thing. Geeta, if you could elaborate a little by what you mean by mental model and what you mean by conceptual model, because everyone right now, if we look at the UX jargons, they are just floating, and everyone has very different different, what do you say, meaning or perception attached to it. But
Right.
then, yeah, but then from what I could understand is, if let's say emotional design, if you want to change the mental model, it is extremely important, obviously, to understand and to know how the emotional system works, because the decisions you would make, there's the emotions has a very 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 crucial part in making decisions. So if you are speaking of a mental model at any, through whatever perception it is, the emotional knowledge, being aware of how people respond, how people react to certain things, and how emotional system works in our brain, is very useful and important. Because as I mentioned, that emotions, they just catalyzes the entire decision making process. So whether they are using your product or not, it definitely depends on their decisions they take.
Right, and I think you correctly mentioned the example which you given, the chicken, dog, and human being. Because as mental model goes, definitely as a human being, we adopt the mental models. So is
Hmm.
every time we learn the things and we develop on that. I think that was correct example also you have given. Where not only we just learn the things, we just transfer those knowledge to the other people also.
Right.
Great. Yeah. Yes, I think that was very nice insight and hope. people found today. So just concluding, Priyanka, just I would like to add to thanks everybody today. So it was a full day, and I have seen many participants are there from since 9 a.m. with us. There are all sessions they attended. So hope today we tried to cover different aspects in a design, starting from first Riyaz session. Then we also try to check with Ketki for the other side of a table where for management decisions happen. Then Bhavika as as her experience as a branding and those things we are taught. Then Abuli as definitely as a UX independent as a career. Then before this session, Chaitali is talking about usability testing, and lastly Suhani is I think sum up very good with how designers. So hope today's agenda is like definitely as all women speakers here, they will all the upcoming human the girls who want interior design is not only about, as I always say, it is not only about web, it is not only about only creating a design for mobile app. UX design, it is more than that. And today, I'm very happy that every speaker has taken very different aspects of a design, and that I hope that will clear many doubts in their career, and hopefully we will bring more such dedicated conference. Hopefully next time we'll meet physically somewhere. Due to COVID, we have to connect through the online sessions that will be. But definitely we are planning under UX Talk. We are planning one of our biggest event soon, maybe next year somewhere, where we all will bring on one roof the all good speakers. A lot of activities are there, so definitely keep watch on that. And again, once again, thanks all speaker and participant uh, to make this successful event. And thank you. I think Priyanka now we can conclude today's.
Yeah.
And
Thank
also thank Priyanka, and also there is a Nilesh and also Kunal behind all this. Uh, so these are like it was a team effort. We have to bring together everything. So thanks Priyanka. You are also I think a lot of research you are doing for
you.
speaker and so thanks Nilesh, thanks Kunal, and also thanks all speakers.
Thanks to you, sir, I got this opportunity to interact with such amazing women in the design field. Thank you, Suhani. It was an amazing presentation. You really, used your design skills to with the, examples, visual designs, and those were really nice. And I hope everyone liked the session, not only this, but the entire conference today. And thank you all. Some of you guys are, have been with us since morning. So thank you very much. And I would like to, take this opportunity to announce our next talk, which is going to be on the 10th of October. And Mr. Felix Lee is going to be speaking about unleashing your creative freedom on that day. So I hope you guys will attend that session as well. More details will be up on our websites, and do follow us on all our social media handles, so you'll be updated with the details. Also, a lot of people have been asking me where can we get the recordings of these sessions. So all the talks that we have been doing, and these also, and the future ones also, will be available on our website. So keep following us, and yeah, I mean, I hope you enjoyed it and learned a lot, learned from it. So thank you, and stay
Thanks,
safe. Bye
for
bye.
bye.
Thank, thank you so much, everyone. Thanks, Tushar, for arranging this event, and thank you, Priyanka, and everyone from the organizing
I
team
think
for
this
having
is
such a
uh,
successful event.
this many more we will do together when in future time.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Definitely.
Thanks.
For
Thanks.
sure, for sure.
Thanks.
Perfect.
Bye.